I can see people are saying hello in the chat from all sorts of different places, which is great to see. So I assume that that means you can hear me and you can see me. Okay, so we're okay. Technology front, somebody has said yes, and Esther and Linda, and okay, great. Yeah, a great variety of places. Well, a warm welcome to everybody in the session. Okay. Okay, good. I'm just going to deal with a couple of housekeeping issues at the start. Okay, so as you can see, this webinar is being recorded. So if there's anything you liked so much that you'd like to catch again, you will have a link to the recording. And of course, you can share that with anyone you wish also. And you're also going to be getting a certificate and a very exciting virtual goodie bag, which I won't reveal anything more about for now. Okay. Okay, good. So I'm going to be talking about mixed ability today. Just before I do that, I'll introduce myself. So I'm from England. England originally. I started teaching French and German in England. I moved to Spain, where I've been teaching French and mainly English. Lots of experience in secondary, teens, and I've been teacher training for Pearson for just on 5 years now. This May. Okay. I'm going to tell you a few more things about myself. All of these numbers you can see on the screen in front of you refer to something about me. Okay, so what I'm going to ask you to do is in the chat box, just have a little guess at what any of these numbers could refer to. Okay, they all have something to do with myself. Okay, some people are saying 2 kids. Yeah, okay, could be. 50 age, that's outrageous. Oh my, everyone's guessing 50 age. Okay, so I'm regretting this immediately. Yeah, I think there is an expel function on this webinar tool, so you have to be careful what you write in the chat box. Yeah, yeah, 4 siblings. Okay, 50 countries. I prefer that. 1147 distance between England and Spain. Okay, good. Yeah, 2 degrees. Yeah, it was cold here last week. Actually, it's been changeable weather. Okay, great. Yeah, I teach 1,147 students. Okay, that's quite a good one actually. It could be. Okay, okay, fine. I'm not gonna. Yeah, 50 qualifications. I'd be qualified, up to my eyeballs if I had that many. Yeah, 2 cars. I've only got 1 actually. two. What? No, I only have 1 wife. Yeah. I think that. Okay, we'll talk about this activity in a minute, I guess. So I'm just going to reveal the the answers. So some of you got them right. Yeah. So starting in the top left, actually, this number is the altitude of the village I live in, Miraflores de la Sierra in the mountains of Spain. Very beautiful. I once won £50 on the premium bonds, which is a kind of state lottery in England, although I don't really play the lottery. I am one of 4, and so there's me on the left there when I was a bit younger, with my sister and 2 brothers, and I live at number 4. That's my house. I've got 2 children. I'm born on the 2nd of August. Okay, so I'll be expecting some cards in the post. Okay, so there you go. That's just to break the ice, really, right? A guessing game. Yeah, it's something you can play with your students about yourself, of course, first of all, and then the students can do it about themselves afterwards. So you're modeling it. It's a chance to show them a few pictures. I hope you didn't find it too self-indulgent. I do tend to find students are interested to learn something about their teachers and see a few pictures and then show their own. So that was kind of the rationale for that icebreaker. I mean, we often do the sort of say 3 truths, say 3 things and 1 guess the lie. This is a slightly different way of doing it, and also the numbers invite kind of really create. It could be anything, of course. So it gives people the chance to come up with something silly, as some of you did on the age question. Yeah. And then someone will come up with a silly guess and somebody else will try to outdo that silly guess. Yeah, and so it can be fun as well. Okay, good, lovely, right. Good. So that was just an icebreaker to start and a bit of an intro. Who here teaches mixed ability? Okay, okay. We need to be serious now. There's a few comments coming in the chat. I need to get my game face on for this webinar. Right. So everyone's saying, yeah. Everyone's saying me, I do, and somebody, I didn't catch your name, says who doesn't, and you've kind of predicted the point I was trying to make there. I've taken this slide from Penny Eyre. I'll just let you have a look at it. You know, I think all teachers by definition are mixed ability teachers, right? There's no such thing as a homogeneous class. So students are different in very many ways, thankfully. Yeah. I mean, even within that language knowledge here, we could talk about students having differing levels in the 4 skills. You know, so although mixed ability might be more, you know, in terms of English level, might be more pronounced in some schools where students are grouped by age than in, for example, PLS where they're grouped by ability. Mixed ability is a reality in any class. And for today's webinar, we're not looking at all of these traits really. We're focusing on English ability and English level, which are not necessarily the same thing, of course. You might have no experience, but plenty of ability and potential. Okay, but we're all mixed ability teachers. Yeah, that much is clear. So teaching mixed ability and teaching, let's say, does throw up a few challenges. So this idea of students having different abilities and being diverse, what sort of challenges does that throw up for the teacher? So feel free to you know, chuck an idea in the chat box. Yeah, catering to all of them, exactly. Fast finishes, you've got to have tasks ready, right? Supporting them all. Yeah, time management, teachers were doing different things at once. I mean, yeah, the pace of the lesson. I do like a pacey lesson. Keeps them on their toes, but you know, at the same time, you've got to stop and explain things to people who don't understand. So yeah, that's a balancing act, isn't it? Yeah, choosing the right text. Yeah, we're gonna look at text actually today. At one point, yeah. Do you want to keep them in? Yeah, repetitive can get bored. Yeah, assessment. Yeah, it's just a minefield, isn't it? Really. Yeah, good. Loads of ideas here. And I think hopefully we'll respond to a number of them in the webinar. Okay, so just a few points to start with. This idea that weaker students might give up if they find the work too difficult. Stronger students sometimes they finish the 10 questions when we've got another student who's only done 1. And you know, and that both of those groups of students can start messing about and switch off. You've got this idea of teachers, we have big demands placed on us, so we and you should be attending to every student's individual needs. And you know, you might have 30 students in a class and you might teach 6 classes, so it's easier said than done, right? And then this last point as well, that weaker students sometimes they can feel stigmatized by their peers. We get labels in classes, you know, for the weaker and the stronger ones as well. That's something we need to talk about. But in the middle, I'm supposed to be looking frustrated. I kind of look angry more than frustrated. But the idea is it can be tough to deal with all these challenges. Okay. Okay. But guys, this chat box, this glass here, is it half empty or is it half full? Both. It's half full. It's the right answer. Yeah, it's clearly half full, this chat box. Okay, so my point here is we're going to be optimists. Yeah, we're going to be positive. Okay, today. So there are advantages to teaching mixed ability classes, I think. To teaching, yeah. So teaching a mixed ability class. So a mixed ability class kind of mirrors the real world in which students will find themselves once they leave school. So it's diverse and globalized more and more, and there are all sorts of people there. And a good way to deal with mixed ability is to develop certain values in students, like respect, tolerance, empathy, helping others, the kind of values we'd like to see in people anyway, and we will touch on that in today. Okay. Mixed ability classes also, to carry on from the last point, they encourage collaborative learning. There's a wide scope for collaborative learning. You can have students working together, taking on different roles, teaching one another, which can be beneficial for weaker and stronger students. It's once you can explain something, you understand it. And this idea of the shark here, so weaker students might not want to speak up in front of the class. You've got the teacher who's the shark, kind of prowling around, ready to call on a student individually, but groups can provide a bit more safety. So you might start with, students working in pairs and in groups before, getting them to do something in front of the class. Okay. And again, being this kind of positive optimist, we're saying this, trying to deal with all these challenges really does make us better teachers. It makes us better planners, better material creators, and classroom managers, time management, all these things. If we try and deal with them, we really do develop new skills. Okay, good. So I'm going to look at two angles to come at the ability of mixed ability. So to come at the issue of mixed ability today. So I'm going to be looking at using differentiation and fostering collaboration. So I'm going to be suggesting practical activities to deal with these, to deal with mixed ability around differentiation and collaboration. Okay. So by differentiation, I mean that students are learning and working on what they're ready for, what they have the ability to do. And they might not all have the same ability and readiness as we've established. So it basically means not all students might be doing the same thing in class at the same time. They might have different tasks. We might be giving different levels of support. And there's probably a feature of all of our teaching anyway. I'm sure this is something that everybody does. I bet you've got some fast finisher activities up your sleeve. You provide extra scaffolding for weaker learners. Collaboration means that they're working together. It's a bit more than that, of course. It's not go away and do that in groups. It requires each student to know what they're supposed to be doing in a group, for example. And both of these have their place, I think. So I'm not saying it's an either or. Either use differentiation or use collaboration. They can complement one another. You might have a group task where the roles are differentiated, of course, and it has limitations as well. So differentiation, you can go, you could take this too far and say, right, I need a different task for every student in my class. You'd be up all night preparing, and also the lesson would be sort of chaotic as well. So it's a balance as with so many things. Okay, so let's have a look. I just want to do a few tasks, differentiated tasks first of all. Going to watch a video. What do you think this video might be about? You can put this in the chat box. Yeah, why are you saying school? What makes you think that? Yeah, school day, playing together. Bullying, yeah, could be, yeah. Uniform, yeah. So I'm trying to get language out of you. They're in the playground chatting. That's what makes us think they're a school. They're wearing a uniform. There are students there, exactly. Yeah. Good. So we're going to watch a video. So I've used video extensively in face-to-face classes and in online classes too. You can share videos through your platform, or you can post links in the chat as well. So I'm actually going to do both. In a second, I'm going to post a link to the video in the chat. I'm just going to give you a task for the video first of all. So if you could look at this list of tasks and just think about what your name is, yeah, and choose the appropriate task based on the first letter of your name. So Oksana would be writing down the country she hears. Yeah, Agatha would be writing down the school words she hears. Okay, so you need to know what your task is. You might want a pen and paper here. You might want to take a screen grab, however you want to do it, but you've got a task to do as you watch the video. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to post the link to the video in the chat, and I'm going to play it through the tool. Because there are lots of us in here, so it's hard to know if for some of you it might play in a kind of choppy fashion in the tool. So what I'm doing is I'm going to post it in the chat now for those who might need it. So that link is in there. You should find the links from me in the chat, and I'm also going to play it through the tool as well, and you guys can do your task. Okay. Here we go.
Many schools have students of different nationalities. In the playground at one school in London, you can hear not 5 languages, not 15, not 30, but 42. Byron Court is a primary school with 600 children from 5 to 11 years old.
Bună, eu sunt Adelin.
Meu nome é Dia.
Selam, ani ismi Fat.
Meu nome é Ayuso. Ainda prima mea ca Persian.
Numele meu este
Yasu, Melene Stefanos.
They are from Somalia, Iraq, Poland, Romania, Nepal, the Philippines, and many more. And, oh yes, of course, from England. This part of London has families from all over the world. They come to live and work in London.
Dania, click on one of those.
Many children don't speak English when they start. It can be a problem, but with good teachers and friends, they learn fast. Soon their English is good, and their schoolwork is good too. The children at this school get to know children from different countries. They're laughing and talking together. It's great for them to have friends from different countries. At Byron Court, the children don't only do schoolwork. They learn about different cultures. They also learn to work together. A good example for everyone.
Okay, here we go. Right, let's have a look. So I'm going to get my presentation back up. There we go. Okay, nice. So yeah, so the video, I think it was at home in a mixed ability presentation. That was a very diverse environment there, full of different abilities, I dare say. Okay, so you had your tasks, and I could see some of you were actually writing the answers in the chat box already. So you know, I'm not going to go over all of the answers. I'm not going to go over all of the answers for now because we'd be here for quite a long time. I just want to talk about the activities and talk about the number of activities, and yeah. Okay, so what I'd like you to do is which task do you think was the easiest? So, well, first of all, you need to actually look at the other tasks because I told you to focus on your task. I'll just give you a second to look at them all, and then tell me which one you think is the easiest and which one was the hardest, and why. Yeah. So somebody says the last one. Yeah. So when you tell me if you're talking about the easiest or the hardest, yeah. So numbers is saying easiest. Write down the numbers you hear. M to O is easy. The countries you hear. Yeah. Saying Y is hardest. Somebody's saying the second task is easy. Okay. Okay. So the last both. Okay. Okay, different ideas. So I'm just going to share a few of my thoughts on these tasks. So A to C and M to O, we need to write down the school words you heard or write down the countries you heard, assuming that you have, you know, you've covered this language to some extent, basic school language and countries. Then those are I think the easiest ones. You just have to pick out words. They don't have to produce the words. So the G to I one, which is where you use the visual part of the video for them to write down things that they see. They see a board, you know, see a whiteboard and write down whiteboard. Again, it's working with sort of single bits of vocabulary, but they actually have to produce the word, have to know it rather than recognize it. So that makes that a bit more difficult. And then looking at some of the harder ones, I think, so D to F and S to U. Well, first of all, some of these questions require students to write sentences. They need to produce a fair bit of language and put the grammar together, and the other ones were just single words. These ones sort of involve kind of reading between the lines. They involve sort of hypothesizing. They're a bit more abstract, right? There's no right answer here. So they give more chance for creativity. They give more time as well. They require more time, somebody said. Yeah, and P to R and V to Z, again, idea-wise or conceptually, then I would say they're easier. The orange ones are easier than the red ones here, but they will require still more language. Yeah, they will, they should know how that school is different from theirs, but can they express it? So so we just basically the point I'm trying to make here is you can assign tasks, different tasks around the same input. So this is some way of dealing with time as well. I assigned based on your name. I don't know, didn't know your abilities. You can give students different tasks based on what you think they're capable of and what you think they need to learn. I think there are 8 here. Are there 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8? I'm not suggesting 8 or 10 or 30. I've done these type of task in class, and I've used perhaps 3 different activities, and it works. Okay, but also I'm trying to get us to kind of think about the types of activities we might put around the input and what makes them easier and what makes them harder. Yeah. Good. Okay, so let's move on. So this same video, of course, I might get you to do a basic match-up activity afterwards. So here you've got to match the numbers to the sentences. Again, I'm not going to get you to do that right now. That activity could be changed slightly by removing one of the words, or the activity could be changed again in that the students have to write what's happening in each screenshot with some key language fed in. Okay, so it's kind of again building up to the same sort of product at the end, really, but with different levels of scaffolding. So that's another example. Okay, good. Okay, let's move on to a different kind of to a different lesson. Okay, so I know you can't see the whole of this lesson. That's okay. So in the lesson, the students are working towards doing a role play, ordering a snack in a cafe. That's sort of the final goal of this lesson. Okay, so they see a video which provides a model, and they're introduced to key functional language. They have to complete a dialogue for practice, which is what you can see on the right, and then they finally do the role play, which is slightly freer. Okay, so we're talking about a scaffolded lesson again. I want to look at the penultimate step and how we might do that in class. Okay, so let's have a look. There are 2 roles here. Okay, there are two roles. We're gonna actually we're gonna do this role play with each other. So I will be I'll be blue, and you can be orange. Okay, so I just have to. I'm going to imagine you're talking to me. So don't let me down. Yeah, I'd like you to talk at the screen to play your role. You can be orange, and I'll be blue. So we'll have a pretend conversation. I'll pretend I can hear you. Okay. So here we go. Let's start. You start. A hot dog, please. Yes. Can I get some chips? Thanks. Oh, can I have some ketchup with that? No, thanks. How much is that? Here you are. Thanks. Okay, great. So let's do it again. So you're orange again. A hot dog, please. Yes. Can I have some chips? Thanks. Oh, can I have some ketchup with that? No, thanks. How much is that? Here you are. Bye. Okay, right. One more time. You're orange. A hot dog, please. Yes. Can I have some chips? Great. Oh, can I get some ketchup with that? No, thanks. How much is that? Here you are. Thanks. I can't remember the last word. I tried to. Oh, there you go. Thanks. Right. Okay. So, yeah, if you're actually doing it, if I'd be more effective if I was talking to one of you, of course. So, who had the easiest role there, me or you? Who had the easiest role? Yeah. Why did I have an easy? I think I had an easier role. Why did I have an easier role? Yeah, so you're saying you. So you, yeah, because I said so. Yeah, I can read. No, so I think I had the easiest. You had the hardest role. You had 16 words to remember, and I only had 8. I suppose it was easy for me because I wrote the dialogue as well, of course. So I should know it a bit better than you. But the point is, I removed more words from your half to my half. Um, and you had some entire phrases to remember, like "here you are." I was just taking away, slightly easier words. It's a disappearing dialogue, as some of you have said. The aim is to get students to remember the functional language they'll need before doing a freer practice role play. So this is kind of the stage before the free practice role play. It's a scaffolding activity. And the point here that relates to mixed ability, of course, is that they can be more or less challenging roles in any dialogue. So we did this as a disappearing dialogue. You might have dialogues with much longer, more challenging roles and easier roles. You might make a lot of it disappear only a little bit, but these tasks can be differentiated. I differentiated this because I made my role easier than yours. Okay, good. I'm going to keep looking at sort of differentiation or adding challenge and support. So we're going to look at a reading text next. We're going to look at a reading text. Yeah, somebody suggesting here total physical response using some kind of actions to act out the dialogue. Yeah, good. Okay, so first of all, the first thing to do is just get you to read the text. Okay, so I'll read it with you. Okay, so people are saying done. Some fast readers. Okay, good. So imagine you're teaching this reading text in class, and you've got these questions. So what I'd like you to do now is, whoops, that was an accident. I'd like you to have a look at the questions here and see if you can come up in the chat box. So these are the questions that come in the course. Come up in the chat box of any ways you can think of that could add support or challenge. So is there any way of making this question easier for students who might need support or challenge for students who might need that? Okay, so just let you look at the questions and see if you can come up with any ideas. Imagine you've got a class with students for whom this is going to be a bit too tough and for whom it's going to be a bit too easy. What would you do with any of these questions? Just fire off any idea you've got in the chat box. Okay, translate the keywords. Yeah, we can use some L1, can't we? Yeah, so some of you are saying fewer options in exercise 3, only right or wrong. Yeah, that's always a way of making activity a little easier, isn't it? Giving fewer options. Multiple choice question with 6 options is, it's normally harder than one with 2. Yeah, I mean, someone's mentioned that the activities do get harder as you'd expect. Yeah. Yeah, okay. You could ask advanced students to come up with synonyms. Yeah, getting them to look for synonyms in text, some kind of little treasure hunt in the text. Yeah, okay. Highlighting the key words can make it easier, right? Yeah, brainstorming whether students know about the actress first of all. That's going to generate some language. I mean, that's good practice in general, right? Brainstorming. Using the vocabulary in new sentence is a good way, is a good fast finisher task, isn't it? Yeah, use that language in a personal context. Lovely. Give the paragraph number to find the answers. It's a nice one, right? Because some weaker students, when they've got this big text in front of them, and it just looks so daunting. And if you could tell them the paragraph or indeed the line, depending on how much help they need, you've not given them the answer, you've just given them support. So I think that's a good idea as well. It's a good clue, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, lots of ideas. Okay, great. So I've just got a couple here. So in exercise 2, you might pre-teach some of the language. So pre-teaching, there's always a judgment on how much you need to pre-teach, and a lot of pre-teaching means that they won't ever work out words from context because you just give it to them. So it's a judgment. You pre-teach as much as you think is necessary. You can also, of course, have words there to support students if they need it. So you can say, you read this text, and if you need some support on some of the words, then this is here for you to use, but you don't have to use it. So some of this differentiation idea is giving students a choice. Can be given them different tasks and seeing which one they feel comfortable with. It does not always have to be, in position. Okay. Good. So the first 2 ideas in red are popular ones for fast finishers, aren't they? Which is basically making up an extra question for their classmates. It's a good thing to do because it means they're going to have an audience for it. They need to do something with it. So it's not just writing down a sentence, for the sake of it. If they're asking an extra question, if they have to come up with an extra question, they're going to get to use it for a classmate. Okay, so that's a quite popular one, I think. So this was actually already, one of you suggested this, giving them the line where the text is located. Sometimes students find looking for details in what seems like a long text quite daunting. So we can tell them the lines where the answers are held. And of course, even that, imagine it's question 3. You could give them the lines where the answers are held in order, which would give them more support. Or you could give them the lines where those 5 answers are not in order, which would be less support. But you're just giving them the 5 lines where the 5 answers are. They just have to find which line is relevant to which answer. So again, within that, you could do it in 2 different ways. Other classic fast finisher exercises are sort of correcting false statements on the true or false. Getting them to use the language productively in different ways. I understand. Yeah, those students that beginners in reading. I mean, those students will need, lots more language fed in, maybe chunks of language, potentially using L1. They'll need a different approach. And other things we can do is get gap dictation. Yeah, length of text is a good one. We're going to look at length of text actually in a second. Gap dictation. Then, so dictation. So the teacher reads something out and the students write it down. In a nutshell, and so it's listening and it's writing and it's accuracy. I've worked in classes with a massive difference in ability, and some of them they're just real beginners. They won't know the sort of the word boundaries and find it really tough. So the gap dictation, then, for the weaker one, you give them some of what you're going to say, and they just fill in the gaps. Or making it even easier, some of the words have just got options and they just underline the option that you say. Whereas the stronger ones, of course, can be writing down everything you say. So something like a dictation as well, if you've got a mixed ability class, can be set up in different ways. And again, the time of the input is the same. Okay. Okay, good. I just want to look at sort of differentiated homework a little bit, sort of digital tools out there, learning management systems. So there are lots of learning management systems out there, things like Moodle, Google Classroom, maybe some of you use. I'm going to use as an example Pearson's online management system, which is MyEnglishLab. Yeah, that's a nice point. Eleanor's talking online. You can use the private chat to scaffold individual students. Yeah, certainly worth saying. You can give more support to the students who need it, and of course, students can also write to you individually as well if they don't want to write something in front of the whole class. I think is yeah that the private chat message is a good one. It's worth mentioning from Eleanor there. Okay, where were we? So we're looking at setting homework online through a learning management system, in this case, a Pearson tool called MyEnglishLab. So I'm just going to show you inside and mention some of a couple of the features and the rationale. So here you can see activities around units, and you can see there's a little star system. That the idea of that is it tells you how it gives you a difficulty level for the activity. Okay. Example sorts of activities. Yeah, the screen might be a bit small for you here. So baiting drag and drop activity to set up a writing task, and then there's a video here. You're going to listen to a video interview, and do some vocabulary. This one is a grammar activity, and a little light bulb provides the students with the grammar box to offer them support. Okay, so sort of the type of activities you'd expect to see online, kind of online workbook type. And the good thing about using these management systems for homework is that they're automatically graded. So with a paper workbook in class, you're going to maybe grade it at the start of the next lesson. So here, once the students have submitted their work, they see what they get right and wrong. And for the wrong answers, they get kind of sort of a little hint, and then they try the ones they got wrong again to get more practice and to try to improve their score. Yeah. But because we're talking about mixed ability, it's worth saying that you select the activities that you want to assign, and then you select the students you want to assign it to. So we could assign the same activities to the whole class, of course we could. Or we might decide that some students need more practice in a certain skill than others. So we can tailor the homework to suit our individual students' needs, if we wish, catering to a mixed ability class. Yeah. And then finally, the teacher has access to the students' grades. So my class here is not doing very well, as you can see. I can see their overall achievement levels, and I can see their level of effort too, in terms of how many activities they've done that I've set them. Yeah, and I can also sort of dial down into individual areas to see how the students are progressing. And then, of course, the idea is you use this information in your teaching. So you use what you learn about your students here in your teaching. So this MyEnglishLab is a learning management system, which is an example of a digital homework tool, let's say, more relevant, I think, in the times we're currently experiencing, where we're doing lots of things online and digitally. Okay, so some of these tools, they're worth looking out for, worth being aware of. Okay. I want to move on to another site. This is not a Pearson site. It's a website on the internet. So this website, breakingnewsenglish.com, has got news articles on a topic at a range of levels, and they come with a listening and various types of activities. So, I'll just let you can kind of skim read the first paragraph on the left and right if you like. Yeah. So, the idea here is you might differentiate the level you provide to the student, or indeed, let your students know that they can try the text above or below if they need to. Okay. So, I mean, even some of the lower, the level 0 one here has thumbtacks. I think they're still quite tough and would need to be looked up. It's not an app. It's just a website, breakingnewsenglish.com. And the one thing is the text, but it's also got lots of activities in there. so it's worth looking at. Okay, I'm finishing up on sort of differentiation. I want to spend the last 20 minutes talking about collaboration, but before I do that, I want to talk about the sort of the stigma question, because there is an argument that providing differentiated tasks where the pupils themselves, see that some are easier than others, sort of is highlighting difference. My response to that would be the students realize there are different ability levels in a class, no matter what we do. So, if you think back to when you were a student, you knew the clever one, or, the students would be more cruel, wouldn't they? They talk about the silly one or the slow one or what have you. So students, they make judgments about each other, regardless of whether we're providing differentiated work or not. It's a conversation we need to have with them. Yeah. And if we do provide support, then the weaker students will feel that the teacher's doing something to help them rather than forgetting about them. The alternative is just pretending that that mixed ability doesn't exist. And if the weaker students experience success in the work that we've given them, then they'll grow in confidence, rather than just giving them the same as the else, and just saying do your best, and then they can't do it, and then that's going to make them, it's going to damage their confidence. And I think you can talk explicitly to your class that some students need a bit more help in some areas for different reasons. And you're saying, look, we've got different experience levels here. Some are better at some things than others. I'm fine with that. And the question for you is to say, what can you do to help one another? You could talk about empathy. We could spend a webinar talking about developing empathy. And finally, on this point, I would say that, I say as a teacher to my students, the most important thing I want to see is students improving, no matter what their level. So it's about how much you improve. It's not about how good you are. I'd say to students, look, it's more of an achievement for me to go from a 5 to a 7 than to have an 8 and to stay on an 8. We can talk about engendering a kind of a growth mindset rather than a fixed one, trying to get away from being good and bad at English and trying to focus on the idea of progressing and getting better, and that everybody's capable, of doing it. Okay, so I think you can have an open conversation about these types of things, rather than sort of trying, you're giving a weaker student some help, sort of trying to do it quietly so that nobody notices. It doesn't need to be like that. I think you can have a frank conversation about this stuff. Okay, good. So I want to talk about collaboration for the last for the end of the webinar. So this is key in a mixed ability class. Students working together, learning from each other, and not only the teacher, seeing each other as a resource, helping one another. We can also talk about collaboration skills being most important for our students' futures. I work in a team and I work with other teams. Teams and teamwork and collaboration skills are the top of the list for employers. Yeah, for example, their employability skills. So we want our students to work collaboratively. Okay, but we're going to need to show them how to work collaboratively. So imagine they've never worked collaboratively, and you go into a big project, a peer assessment with rubrics, and little by little, it'll need to be set up, and need to define what good collaboration is. So if you have a look at these, these sentences on this word cloud, which of them shows good collaboration and which of them shows poor collaboration? Yeah, taking turns is good, right? Listening to each other, I'm guessing that's being identified as a good one. Yeah, red ones are not good. No, sir, I didn't color code it, actually. Maybe I should have done. Well, I do in a minute. Yeah, okay, so again, this I can show you, I can show you the answers here. So the idea is you do this in class with your students and say, the idea is to explicitly teach what good collaboration is. I took this idea from Amanda Davis, my colleague, was talking about this idea in the context of assessment for learning. It's a great idea from Amanda. The idea being that you know, you need to explicitly teach this stuff. They won't expect them to work harmoniously in groups if we haven't told them what it is we're expecting from them. So they can categorize this, and then when we see it, we can praise it. We can also and we can point to this when they're not doing what we expect. Can also have this in a checklist. So students are working, you know, when they're working, they're actually ticking off what each other are doing. So you know, peer assessing. I would also say ask students what they can add to this. So what we're giving them some ideas, but is there anything else you would? Someone's already added, I think, in there. Use eye contact. Yeah, so there are other things we can add to this. Yeah, someone said how we motivate them to work collaboratively. I think I mean, the one thing is talking about why collaboration is so important, how important it is to have teamwork skills. So you can talk about, you know, the future for some students that's far removed. I think as well is try and set up a collaborative task that they do together, where you know they're going to experience success, and then you can make a big song and dance about how well they've worked in a group, and hopefully that will motivate them to do more. So you might think carefully about the type of collaborative task you get them to do first. You know, they want them really to have a sort of a positive experience. Show good examples of collaborative work done by others as a way to motivate them to work collaboratively. Yeah, okay, let's move on. So I want to talk about helping one another. So, you know, with your students, do you ever imagine you're getting them to do some exercises in a book, and you know, one of them's finished all 10 and the other one's, you know, stuck on the third one. Do you ever say to the one who's finished fast and he knows it all, to say you can go and help the other one? Yeah. So you get your students helping each other. Okay, that's you know, great to hear. But what in my experience, I mean, you can tell me if you agree. If you imagine you just say, right, go and help. If you finish, go and help the one next to you, and you don't give them any other instruction than that. What's the risk there? What might the students do that maybe isn't actually that helpful? Yeah, okay. They might just chat. Yeah, do something. Yeah, I think they might just chat, or they might just tell them the answers. So, you know, some students, I think my teen students, say help the person next to you, and it means in their mind, give them your book so that they can copy the answers out of your book. Yeah, and some of them give wrong info. Yeah, some of them are sly, aren't they? So really, I mean, that's not helping. I mean, giving them the answers isn't helping. So once more, I think they need explicit. They need to be taught how to help, just like they need to be taught everything, you know, and then they build autonomy from having been taught how to do it. But so you can give them examples of help. So you can do this on the board with some students. So what could I do? What clues could I give? You can suggest some and say, right, and this is what, excuse me, this is what I mean. This is what I mean by helping somebody. So you kind of teaching them how to help each other, so to try to avoid them handing the book and saying, there's the answers. You're teaching them how to be teachers, like low-level teachers, how to help their peers. Yeah. Okay, good. Moving on. Just that's true. They feel important when they're helping as well. And once they develop these skills and they understand how to help as well, and they see that their explanation has helped somebody understand, it's a good feeling. I mean, it's like being a teacher, right? Yeah, if bullying gets in the way, yeah, we could, again, that's something to have a webinar on, isn't it? It's about building empathy. It's about getting them to put themselves in the other's shoes. I mean, there's good videos you can show on bullying. What would you do in that situation? How does this person feel? Yeah, we could talk about bullying at length, I think. Okay, but let's look at the next slide. I mean, one way of dealing with this issue of students finishing, at totally different times as well, is to make tasks more open. So that the answer can be one sentence or the answer could be 5 sentences. Because if you look at the first one, it says, well, it's checking conditional, right? If I had £1 billion, I would buy a Ferrari. Imagine you give them 20 of those set questions, they'll finish at different speeds. Whereas if you, on B, if I had £1 billion, I would, and you can finish it however you want, you know, do that individually and then collaborate with your group, with a pair and then with a group, see how many you can come up with. You know, the weaker ones might just use one verb, maybe. I would buy a Ferrari. But, you know, others might come up with different verbs, would go to the Bahamas, or would, you know, whatever they can come up with. But the point is, it's an open task, and everyone can kind of participate at their level, which is not always the case in a closed task. Okay, so something to have in mind: open tasks. Okay. Getting a class identity is really important. I think, like, so this mixed ability, we're trying to get students to help each other and to work together, to respect each other, to tolerate difference, and it's so important, you know, to try to, in Spain, this is, well, anywhere, this is a pine cone, right? And piña in Spanish, and sort of a piña is kind of a close-knit group. So sort of the holy grail, or one of the holy grails for teachers, to have a class that are you know, that feel like a team, that, you know, that look out for one another, that have a bit of identity. That's what I think that's what we're aiming for, that help each other, you know. You know, ideally it'd be, you know, you mess with one of my class, you mess with me, yeah, we're together. That's what we're trying to build up, that feeling of belonging. Yeah, it's tough. Yeah, I mean, it's easier said than done, again, but I think it's worth trying, and also to try and achieve it to some extent. Things, you know, things about this, like these are class mottos. You can show your students some logos with slogans from different companies. You say, well, the companies, they don't always stick to their slogan, but we're going to stick to ours. You know, what's our class slogan? I mean, there's a few examples down the bottom. This can be built up with the students, and you know, and then we stick to it. Yeah, I've done class songs as well. I mean, I've probably done it more with primary actually than secondary. Some kind of song about the class where they all sing together. Yeah. Other things like this. I'm just going to finish up on a last idea. Picture of qualities. I'll just let you read it. Yeah, so this, I'm just going to show you the result rather than trying to explain what I've written. So this would be the result. It's my friend Maria. So all of us, we wrote something positive about her on her paper with her head cut out from, and we take a picture. And, you know, she's got this picture. She really likes it. Yeah, it's a nice reminder that you're valued, you know. And then if you do this with your whole class, you can take the picture of all of them and stick it on the wall as a reminder, trying to create this sort of togetherness that we all, you know, we see each other's qualities, respect one another, appreciate one another. That's the aim of this activity. And it's, you know, we need these sort of feel good as a class activities to try to create this class pine cone, yeah, this class feeling of togetherness. Okay, so there's Maria. Okay, good. So yeah, so I hope I've been able to give you some ideas on dealing with mixed ability, speaking about differentiation and collaboration and this kind of class togetherness, and sort of, you know, it's a mixture of a number of things, trying to get it right. It's not easy, you know, as with so many things in teaching, it takes time as well. And you find it was finding the right balance, how much differentiation is enough, how much is too much. And sometimes it's about what you want to do and then what you can do. because we're under, teachers are under a lot of pressure and have lots of pressure on their time. But try a few out. Maybe try out some of the strategies, and feel free to to let us know what you think. I'm just going to point out that there's still a few days left. There's still a few cracking webinars that you can sign up to continue with your professional development. There's the website. There's a Twitter handle, Pearson Spring Days as well. So I'm just going to remind you again that this webinar was recorded. You're going to get a certificate and a goodie bag. Yeah, so my voice is just about to go. I've run out of water, but I think maybe, I don't know if Anya, if there are, I tried to answer questions in the chat. I don't know if there's anything else. Yeah, so tests and exams is a funny one, isn't it? Because certainly over here in Spain, you have authorities that say they should all be doing the same one, unless you require sort of a curricular kind of adaptation, in which case they're allowed to do a different exam. I would say, like, if you do really have weaker students, you can do an exam. You should be doing an exam based on the way you would create the tasks. Yeah. But it's difficult when they're all supposed to. If they're supposed to being assessed on the same standard. Let's have a see. Sites that give us some more differentiation strategies. That's a. Yeah, the ethic. Have you had any problems with the ethical side of differentiation? Yeah, the ethical side. I think. Yeah. I mean, sometimes they might not like it, but I think you always explain why you're doing something in a lesson. So you say, not too many times, because it can't go into a sort of a back and forth and sort of an argument. But where anything you do, you say, well, this is what we're doing, and this is why we're doing it. And ideally, you've got a good reason for why you're doing anything, and you can say it to the students and say, well, that's how it's going to be. And so almost mixing it with a little bit of, being a bit assertive as well. And I have found they do tend to understand. Yeah, you're receiving the certificate and goodie bag in 3 days. I've not forgotten the question about the sites. Yeah, I'm struggling to think of different sites. And I've shown the Pearson Learning Management System, the reading one. Yeah, there are so many sites out there, aren't there? I think like the BBC Learning English website. The BBC Learning English website has grammar points sort of differentiated by level. There's also activities on there at different levels. So I mean, the BBC Learning English website could be another one for you to try out. Somebody's asked me about websites for differentiation. Yeah. Yeah, so let's have a look. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you feel guilty, but if you know that student is not going to be able to do the worksheet that you gave the other one, then I would say, would you not feel more guilty? Because you're just saying, well, just kind of to avoid the guilt or to avoid the potential problem of differentiating, I'm just going to give you this task, which is the same as your colleagues, even if I know you're not going to be able to do it. Look, I think as well, to add on to that point, people are sort of saying about the different tasks. There's also about the scaffolding you provide to a task. So one area of differentiation is tasks at different levels, but another area of differentiation is the support that you give around a task. So it may be more appropriate to have the same task, but you're just giving them more support to make that task more accessible for them. Does that make sense? That makes sense. I mean, that might be enough. But I do stress. I've taught students who've come into a bilingual school and they shouldn't be there, and you have to do something, because otherwise you just can't follow it, and they just feel more and more lost. Yeah, more scaffolded steps and instructions, exactly. So that may be the answer around the same task. Okay, guys, we'll call it a day. call it a day now. It's 1 o'clock. Yes, that brings me to the end of the session. Hope you've got one or two ideas. I thank you for coming along to the webinar. Good luck in your online teaching and in your face-to-face teaching when we get back to that as well. And I hope to see you in another webinar in the future as well. Okay, so it's goodbye from me.